Do you hate the president, Madam Speaker?
Next on Currents News, the heated exchange between House Speaker Pelosi and a reporter. She says she called him out because of her faith. And we hear from the whistleblower in Buffalo following the resignation of Bishop Malone. We'll meet this Catholic high school junior from Brooklyn who just returned from China, a winner in a big competition. And Mr. Redford goes to Rome. We'll tell you about the Hollywood stars meeting with the Holy Father. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm CJ Papa. On Capitol Hill today, a history-making announcement. The Democrat-led House is moving full steam ahead with articles of impeachment against President Trump. But it's what followed that threatened to overshadow the landmark news. At the end of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's press conference, a reporter asked a question that apparently angered her.
Do you hate the president, Madam Speaker? Because
I don't hate anybody.
Representative Collins,
reason
I asked.
Catholic house, we don't hate anybody, not anybody.
The heated exchange continued, and then Pelosi went back to the podium, where she called out the president, calling him a coward when it comes to helping kids afraid of gun violence and cruel for not helping dreamers and in denial about the climate crisis. Then Pelosi invoked her faith as a reason for her reaction to the question.
And as a Catholic, I resent your using the word hate in a sentence that addresses me. I don't hate anyone. I was raised in a way that is a heart full of love, and always prayed for the president. And I still pray for the president. I pray for the president all the time. So don't mess with me when it comes to words like that.
President Trump responded with a tweet saying Pelosi just had a nervous fit and that he doesn't believe that she prays for him. Meanwhile, reaction from the White House to impeachment going forward was quick. White House counselor KELLYANNE said the president's team is ready for a Senate trial, which would follow a vote by the full House.
We're ready for that in terms of being able to present evidence and at least educate America as to what this is.
Democrats are considering multiple articles of impeachment, including abuse of power and bribery related to the president's actions involving Ukraine and obstruction for refusing to cooperate with the investigation. The House Judiciary Committee has scheduled the next hearing in the impeachment inquiry for Monday. If Pelosi gets her way, President Trump would become only the third president to be impeached. Still, the Republican-led Senate would have to convict him for Trump to be removed from office. Bill Clinton was impeached in 1998. The House voted along party lines to approve 2 charges, perjury and obstruction of justice. In a 5-week Senate trial, he was acquitted. In 1868, Andrew Johnson, who moved into the Oval Office after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, was impeached for defying Congress. He avoided a guilty verdict in the Senate by a single vote. Now, Richard Nixon would likely have been impeached over Watergate, but he resigned in 1974. Meanwhile, President Trump is asking the Supreme Court to hear a new case about keeping his taxes secret. He wants the justices to rule against a demand from the House that his accountants turn over 8 years of financial records. This is the second time the president has gone to the High Court. He wants them to also block a similar subpoena from Manhattan prosecutors. Both cases are moving fast, and the court could announce next week whether it will hear them. The latest now on the resignation of Bishop Richard Malone from Buffalo. His former executive assistant, one of the leaders of the movement to oust him, is reacting to the change. She's saying whoever takes over permanently should be on guard. For the time being, Bishop Edward SCHARFENBERGER will run the Buffalo Diocese, and he brings with him a strong record of combating clerical sex abuse. Currents News, Tim Harfman has an update.
For over a year, many people publicly demanded that Buffalo's Bishop Richard Malone resign. One day after doing so, a protest leader is putting his eventual replacement on notice.
Any bishop who comes in here should be on his guard.
Siobhan O'Connor used to work for Bishop Malone as his executive assistant. She leaked documents to the press, accusing him of mishandling abuse cases, a move that sparked a crisis in Buffalo. Now, in the wake of Malone's resignation, she's saying Catholics in Buffalo will be watching the next bishop closely.
He should be perhaps a little trepidatious to come here because he knows that we are laity who are informed, we are staying vigilant, we stand with survivors, and I would hope that whoever's assigned here knows that he'll have to be at his best and certainly not following Malone's playbook.
The Vatican has appointed Bishop Edward Scharfenberger of the Diocese of Albany as the Apostolic Administrator of Buffalo until a permanent replacement is named. He says he's planning on making weekly visits to Buffalo.
I would like every parish to be an oasis of security where people can come home and nobody feels left out.
The Brooklyn-born bishop was appointed by the Pope to lead the Albany Diocese 5.5 years ago. He's become a national leader in responding to clergy abuse in Albany. He's established a confidential reporting line, created a victims assistance coordinator to work with survivors, and set up a predominantly lay task force on sexual abuse, among many other initiatives. He's promising action in Buffalo.
If it means clarifying our list, putting names up, putting more information, whatever can be done in a way that's transparent and responsible, absolutely.
O'Connor says she's happy with the departure of Bishop Malone, but is also reportedly disappointed that the Holy See didn't release the report prepared by Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio of his Vatican-appointed visitation to Buffalo. Tim Harfman, Currents News.
And stay with Currents News for continuing coverage of the Bishop Malone resignation. We'll have more updates throughout the rest of the week as they happen. You can also follow us online at currentsny.tv. We have new information about the delay in the beatification of Archbishop Fulton Sheen. The Diocese of Rochester requested a postponement. The ceremony for the famous television evangelist was supposed to occur December 21st. He'd then be just a step away from sainthood. Reportedly, Rochester's Bishop Salvatore Mentano wanted more time until New York's Attorney General completed an investigation of the state's churches. Sheen served in Rochester for a short time. Now, earlier today, I spoke with Monsignor Hilary Franco, the author of a book titled Bishop Sheen, Mentor and Friend. I asked him about Archbishop Sheen's time in the Rochester Diocese.
I feel that he was so adamant in taking care of the people of God there in that diocese as he had done elsewhere in the world with, as you do know, we had an audience that at times reached the mark of 40 million people. But, he was always concerned about the people of God, and naturally he was serving as Bishop of Rochester also in that capacity. To me, having lived with the man at 109 East 38th Street, I could tell you then that he was a saint at that time. So I do believe naturally in the official declaration by the church, but to me, he has been saint all along. And I am disappointed because I was waiting, for this date, the 21st. I believe that he, like St. Paul VI, St. John Paul II, to me, these were saints long before they were declared saints. And the same thing I have to say for Bishop Sheen.
The Vatican has yet to release a statement talking about the postponement of Sheen's beatification. Monsignor Franco says he has spoken to officials from the Holy See and expects that Archbishop Sheen's life of virtue will be affirmed. A Catholic lawyer is moving to the federal bench after being confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Sarah Pitlick once clerked for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. At Yale Law School, she founded the group Students for Life. She'll be a judge in the Eastern District of Missouri. The pro-life advocates' confirmation was mostly along party lines. Democrats in the Senate have been criticized for opposing nominees for their religious beliefs. Planned Parenthood is trying to take out 3 senators who support pro-life causes. The group is spending more than $1 million on ads that go after Senators Tom Tillis, Cory Gardner, and Martha McSally. Now, the lawmakers are being attacked for supporting a policy that forbids groups receiving federal money from discussing abortions with patients. The ads will be on TV, radio, and posted on digital media and in direct mail. Now, more than 3 million people could soon be kicked out of the food stamps program. The Trump administration is making changes to the rules. Nadia Romero reports the latest from Washington.
How 3 million Americans put food on the table could be at risk if the Trump administration changes how people get help from the government. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, that's the formal name for food stamps. If families qualify, they can help with groceries and meals at school for their kids. But since his campaign in 2016, President Trump has argued against what he calls entitlement programs. And just last month at the New York City Economic Club,
7 million people off of food stamps. And we're getting Americans off of welfare and back into the workforce.
The 3 proposed rule changes could mean 688,000 people losing assistance if a work mandate is enforced, more than 3 million losing aid if the qualifying requirements change, and nearly 500,000 students wouldn't qualify for reduced lunch at school. The Trump administration says the new rules would mean more Americans will get back to work.
People do not want a handout. They want to work.
But critics argue more restrictions on welfare programs hurt American families.
They ignore already strict work requirements in statute to paint a dishonest picture of greedy, shiftless welfare sponges.
In Washington, Nadia Romero, Currents News.
Dozens of migrants are dead after a shipwreck in rough Atlantic Ocean waters. At least 150 people, including women and children, were on board and at least 58 perished. Refugees have long struggled to reach safe harbors in Europe. Thousands have died while sailing in overcrowded boats. This time the ship was sailing from Gambia and it capsized off the coast of Mauritania. Officials there are treating 85 survivors. Pope Francis is saying the Mediterranean has been turned into a cemetery for migrants. In a newly released conversation with Jesuits, he told them that he's shocked by the anti-immigrant talk coming from Europe. He says there's a defensive mindset on the continent that creates a climate of fear. People believe they can only defend themselves by strengthening borders. As a result, Francis says that refugees are treated as waste material rather than human beings. And there's a lot more news headed your way. Scammers always want to part you and your money. The new holiday schemes that you need to know about. Then all hail the returning champ. We'll meet the Xaverian High School junior who was a winner at a competition in China. And later, it may not be the same football the Pope is a fan of, but he was all smiles with a gift from the Baltimore Ravens. All that and much more coming up. And do you have a story idea or you want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour hotline 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. A Catholic school student is getting top marks for her ability to speak Mandarin, not only here in Brooklyn, but also in China. Currents News' Tim Harfman tells us more.
Singing in the Chinese language of Mandarin is second nature for Lee Barrett.
It's just become normal to me.
But it's more than that for Lee. She's a winner when it comes to speaking Mandarin. Lee's family is of Albanian and Italian descent, but she's been learning to speak the language since the age of 4.
We used to have a Chinese nanny, and she only spoke Chinese, so that's how we communicated with her.
She's now communicating in Chinese on a global scale. Lee recently traveled to the Asian country for an international competition and beat nearly 200 Mandarin-speaking students worldwide.
You see that all other people from many different places, they also speak Chinese, and you can kind of relate to them in a way.
This junior at Xaverian High School in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, wants to relate to others by becoming a doctor. As part of the competition, she recited a speech in Mandarin about her future.
我长大要当一个医生. I would like to use my Chinese in my profession so I can help out people in China that don't know how to speak English and aren't able to just have this sort of care from doctors.
Lee is one of 9 sisters, and they're all fluent in the language.
I'm really happy for my sister and that we get to share this special bond.
Xaverian's principal, Deacon Kevin McCormack, says although the Brooklyn school is full of diversity, Lee is unique.
No one's surprised to hear that someone could speak French or Italian or Spanish or Greek in Xaverian. But Mandarin, a little different.
All to learn and respect another language. In Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
A warning for our viewers, be careful. A Grinch is on the prowl, preying on people online who are trying to find gifts for their loved ones for the holidays. Mary Malone tells us more.
If a stranger online promises you a gift in exchange for some personal information and a few bucks, it probably isn't legit.
Secret Sister gift exchange is something that we see online on Facebook. All you have to do is purchase a $10 gift and she'll tell you where to mail it, and then in return you're going to get 36 plus gifts in return. And the whole idea behind this is that you're not most likely going to actually get these gifts.
The Better Business Bureau says scams like Secret Sister could open people up to cybersecurity breaches and identity theft.
You're sharing your personal information with people that you don't know. They're friends of friends, and so things like your address, your Facebook profile, your email address, that's all now in the hands of people that you're not, one-on-one connected to.
But gift-giving schemes aren't the only online Christmas cons. Buyer beware when clicking on those flashy social media ads from companies you may not have heard of.
Online scams is a big one nowadays, where we're seeing different companies who are popping up out of nowhere and, unfortunately taking people's money with nothing in return.
To protect yourself, take the time to research the company you're buying from. Be sure to pay with a credit card and read the fine print. A few simple steps to keep those Grinches from stealing your Christmas. I'm Mary Malone, Currents News.
Now to the Vatican, where the Nativity was unveiled and the Christmas tree lit. Melissa Butts reports from St. Peter's Square.
The holiday spirit has truly arrived here to St. Peter's Square. The tree has been mounted, the ornaments hung. The only thing left is to light it for Christmas to truly arrive here at the Vatican. St. Peter's Square is full of excited faces, eagerly awaiting the unveiling of this year's nativity scene and lighting of the Christmas tree. Before it could take place, music set the stage, getting everyone in the Christmas spirit. Then dancing followed, coming from Trento in northern Italy, where the nativity scene also comes from. The nativity was first to be unveiled. The 20 characters inside are made of wood, a typical Trentino tradition. They stand 4 feet tall and come from an area that was victim to major flooding and storms in 2018. The tree also comes from a nearby area in North Italy, Veneto. Representatives from Veneto explained the lighting of it brings an idea of beginning again after such destruction hit them last year. Some of the youngest in the crowd were the ones to do the honors. The tree is domed with eco-friendly modifiable LED lighting. It positively affected those in St. Peter's Square.
It was really cool. We were up really close with the crowd, and it was pretty fun with everyone getting really excited because we didn't really know what was happening. And it was all at once, and it was like 1, 2, 3, and then it was filled up the whole sky because we were like 20 feet away from the tree, and it was really cool.
Well, we came very early, but it was very exciting waiting, and then when the tree lit it up, it was worth it. It was so beautiful.
The event passed beyond cultures and age differences to unite everyone at the Vatican during this Christmas season. The festivities will continue here at the Vatican until January 12th, the day the church celebrates the feast of the baptism of the Lord. At the Vatican, Melissa Butts, Currents News.
That Christmas cheer extended all the way back to the Big Apple as the famous tree in Rockefeller Center was lit last night.
3, 2, 1.
This year's tree, 77 feet tall, decked out with 50,000 colorful lights and a 900-pound star containing more than 3 million Swarovski crystals. The 60-year-old Norway spruce hails from Orange County, New York. And tonight, Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio is blessing the Diocese of Brooklyn's Christmas tree and nativity during a lighting at Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn. We will have complete coverage of the event on tomorrow's Currents News. Still to come tonight, he may be a soccer fan, but this gift from the Baltimore Ravens is scoring big with the Holy Father. And then Robert Redford meeting with the Pope while the Hollywood star traveled to the Vatican. And please check out one of the latest features in the tablet, the Our Diocesan Family page. That's where you can send in your photos of your family receiving certain sacraments such as baptism, First Communion, confirmation, and marriage. More information and submit your pictures, go to thetablet.org/OurDiocesanFamily. We'll be right back. The Vatican is taking a closer look at developing bigger roles for lay women and men, and the calls for new ministries are reaching to the top of the church. Pope Francis and his Council of Cardinals discussed the issue in a meeting this week. They are hoping to draft a new constitution that would govern the church's central administrative offices and what roles lay people could play. The document is also looking at the relationship between those offices and bishop conferences around the world. Robert Redford is a legend on the silver screen, but even the star of The Natural and All the President's Men seem moved by meeting the head of the Catholic Church. Wednesday's general audiences can be unpredictable, and sometimes so are the guests who come to listen to the Pope. It isn't hard to find real film legends among them. This time it was Robert Redford, who starred in unforgettable films like Out of Africa and The Sting.
Holy Father, my name is Robert Redford. I'm here to thank you for all you've done for me and for this year.
Redford's wife accompanied him. She is very committed to the environment and thanked the Pope for defending the common home. Another legendary movie star to have thanked Pope Francis for the same reason was Leonardo DiCaprio. He met with the Pope in the Vatican in 2016. Pope Francis seems to attract many international celebrities. This was his encounter with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Terminator also acknowledged the Pope's work in favor of the environment. Other big names in the film industry have shown support for the Pope's initiatives, such as his International Project for Education. That's the case with George Clooney and Salma Hayek. Speaking of Latin American stars, neither Benicio del Toro nor Antonio Banderas, even the queen of punk rock, Patti Smith, did it. She was one of the first celebrities to want to meet Pope Francis personally. Redford is 4 months older than the Pope, will turn 83 on December 17th. Finally tonight, the Baltimore Ravens have a new fan at the Vatican. Archbishop William Laurie and a Baltimore seminarian gave the Holy Father a team jersey signed by superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson and the head coach Jim Harbaugh. The jersey had Francis on the back and number 8, which is Jackson's number, and the coach commented on the gift in a press conference later.
But it's great. It's you know, Baltimore is the home of the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church. I first started here in the New World and here in Baltimore, so it's an honor to have Pope Francis here, obviously, especially as a Catholic. I appreciate that, and it's kind of neat. We'll see if he's wearing his jersey anytime soon.
Archbishop Laurie said although the Pope is a big soccer fan, he did give a thumbs up and a huge smile when he received the jersey. No word on if the Pope will be rooting for the Ravens on Sunday. I think he will be. That is Currents News. I'm CJ Papa. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.